Engine bias. So after a well-deserved deload week, it's time to hit the gas pedal once more. This video, as always, is kind of intended as an informational video on where did we leave off in the last phase and kind of where we're heading in the upcoming phase. So as always, I'm going to walk through the general categories of strength, weightlifting, gymnastics, engine, and skill, and their kind of subcategories. What are we focusing on in this phase, and kind of how those focus points is outlined out during the week. So starting from the top, strength. Coming off last phase, we had some dedicated strength training for the squatting on Mondays. We're trying to push some of the strength ratings just a bit up. The intention there was to build some strength in those patterns to have a kind of a high baseline to have a kind of a drop off, because the intention of what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to build your capacity in the weightlifting cycling, both in a higher and moderate weights, but also in the lower barbell cycling capacity manner. So heading off from last phase with squatting and the Romanian deadlift kind of were the main strength modalities in that phase. What we're going to do in this phase is we kind of let the strength take a backseat. So strength training is going to take a maintenance focus where we're only going to train each muscle group one time per week. We're going to hit it fairly hard just to make sure that the stimulus that we get from this session is okay, but we're not going to have more than one session for your quads in the squatting or your hamstrings in the Romanian deadlift, et cetera, et cetera. So the main intention here of the strengthening is to maintain what you got and not let those adaptations decay. And there will be a set of sets and percentages and ranges that will make sure that you hit an adequate volume and intensity to make sure that you're in the sweet spot of not overdoing it, but not doing so little that you're not feeling that your strength is still there when you need it. For the weightlifting, building off last phase was kind of intended as a preparation phase for the barbell capacities phase that we're hitting into now. So last phase, we had some gradual density progressions where we hit some higher percentage numbers within a shorter and shorter time frame, and we ended in some AMRAPs of different weights in the snatch and the clean and jerk, etc. So in this phase, what we're really trying to do now is we're trying to really push your barbell strength endurance on those higher percentages. So that's 50 to 80% of 1RM, both in the snatch and the clean and jerk. And we're also going to try to improve your efficiency, some of your breathing patterns, and your overall capacity of barbell endurance. And when I say barbell endurance, I'm kind of thinking of it in a touch and go manner. So this is touch and go power snatches, thrusters, shoulder to row, power cleans in a spectrum that lies around 35 to 70 kilos for the males and 25 to 40 kilos, 45 kilos maybe for the women. Pretty much it's a weight that you could or probably will cycle in a workout. And the reason why I'm not going heavier is that singles and it's likely going to be a faster way once we get above those 70 kilos, which is why we have the barbell strength endurance as a second adaptation target. In the gymnastics, we've kind of built the foundation now. So we've done all the strict stuff, we've done all the weird exercises for your kipping capacity and all those different aspects. And now it's time to really start and build those volume metrics in the gymnastics. The way we're going to do it is we're going to have 2 weekly sessions. I'm going to come to that in a second, but the goal is to have some gradual volume accumulation in all the kipping motions of the big gymnastic exercises, kipping, handstand push-up, toes to bar, chest to bar, etc. And we're going to inlay some different interference models. So we're going to have some respiratory fatigue. We're going to have some local muscular fatigue. We're pretty much just going to try and put some different interference models within that volume accumulation. Engine, again, not much change here. There's some subtle differences here and there, but the main difference is kind of like the intensity parameter of some of the sessions. But we're still going to have 4 weekly cyclical sessions. We're still going to have 3 mixed weekly sessions. And in a minute, I'm just going to outline on the right how those are going to be intersped. Skill, self-directed. And what I mean by that is we're all individuals and we all struggle with different skills, so to say. So what I'm going to do in these skill sessions is I'm going to give you a structure and some guidelines on how to practice your skill, but it's up to yourself to kind of identify and be the captain of your own ship and direct what skill is it that I need on. Some need to work on your double under, some need to work on the handstand walk, some need to work on squats, dumbbell snatches, whatever it is. But the goal of this session is to be introspective and kind of look at yourself with an objective lens. What do I need to work on? And hitting that session and that skill with some very deliberate practice where you're asking yourself, what can I do to make this better, more efficient, more fluid, whatever that needs to be. So looking at the weekly outline. So on Mondays here, we're going to have a AM session where we're going to start off with some zone 2 work. That pretty much just means a low intensity cyclical modality session where we're just going to build that engine, but we're still kind of progressing and warming you up to the main set. That's going to be those high turnover CrossFit intervals. And it's going to be the same format as last phase, where we're going to have those AMRAPs. There's going to be a fairly high turnover, meaning there's not going to be any bottlenecks during the intervals, fairly low reps, very global movements, meaning that we're going to really tax your aerobic capacity and not necessarily your local muscular endurance. So the goal of this session is to really push that turnover and that heart rate up and really get some good cardiorespiratory stimulations from the mixed CrossFit work. In the PM session, we're going to start off by having some weightlifting technique. This is going to be very low percentages, from 50 to 65%, maybe 70% at most in these sessions. The goal is to refine your snatch technique and not let that technique decay. There's going to be alternating weeks. So 1 week is going to be snatch and 1 week is going to be clean and jerk. But the goal of that part is to improve your technical efficiency in the weightlifting exercises. Then we're going to hit into the more stressful stuff, the barbell strength endurance, where you're going to move some heavier loads at a higher speed and higher density. So that's the barbell strength endurance. And to finish off, that's the maintenance work, but a maintenance squat session and maintenance push strength session. Pretty basic. Just going to accumulate some intensity and volume there. Tuesday, AM, cyclical long mixed modality, pretty much just mean that you have a different rotation amongst different ergs, assault bikes, etc. But we're going to keep the intensity fairly low. PM, gymnastic volume session with mixed interference, as mentioned on the left side. And then the self-directed skill session, fairly low intensity day. Wednesday, this is where we're going to see the subtle differences in the cyclical or the engine pieces. Where last phase we had the long duration run, that long duration run is going to turn into a threshold running session. And we're kind of going to run it in a short to long method, meaning that we're going to start in very short durations, and then we're slowly going to build the duration and the volume that these threshold intervals is going to be at. So we're going to start off very low durations of 200 meters, and we're going to build that just to make sure that your knees and hips and ankles are ready for that higher speed running. So we've gotten very good at running at slow paces. Now we need to make it very good at running at faster paces. PM, barbell cycling capacity. So this is touch and goes of different barbell exercises. We're going to do that to begin with, and then we're going to finish off with a Metcon that's going to be in the longer side of spectrum. So 15 to 25 minutes, and the skill level of that is going to be very low. So it's going to be bodyweight exercises that doesn't require any high skill level. It's pretty much just how fast can you work and how well can you do work within a given time period. Friday, again, cyclical, long, slow modality. Compared to Tuesday, this is one modality, so just picking one erg or modality that you're going to work on. PM, some hinge and pull strength maintenance, same as the Monday squat, but in the different patterns. Gymnastic volume accumulation and some core endurance to finish off with. And then Saturday is going to be snatch and clean and jerk progressions. This is going to be the weekly touch where you're kind of allowed to go heavy on the clean and jerk. Gymnastic and skill filler. What I mean by that is if there's any skills or any movements that we haven't hit during the week, these are going to come in here. And then finishing off, we're going to have the whiteboard workout of the week. Depending on the week, that's going to change. And for the PM session to finish off the week, we're going to have the long run just to make sure that all the volume that you've accumulated over the last many weeks, we're still kind of maintaining that running capacity. This is pretty much the next weeks of the Engine Bias Factory. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them on the Engine Bias chat, or you can just write me personally in the messenger field or in Instagram or anything like that. All right, enjoy, folks.